discovered cold skeletons before his eyes. Hung Tian's face scrunched up. So many skeletons, it seems that quite a few cultivators have died here. Just then, he heard a movement behind him. He hurriedly turned his head to look and discovered something in the shape of a human emerging from under the ground. Hung Tian didn't know what this thing was, but it didn't look very friendly. He immediately drew his sword, and with one strike, cut it in two. However, this thing not only didn't die, but also split into two parallel entities. Both of them rushed towards him together. Meanwhile, Tuet Ni encountered a situation similar to Hung Tian's. She stabbed her sword straight into their heads. Their heads burst open, revealing a gem. Tuet Ni took the gem, her face satisfied as she said, blood-colored crystal stones that can only be found in Blood God Mountain, containing an extremely heavy aura of slaughter. Then she absorbed it into her body. This thing was indeed suitable for a sword cultivator like her who specialized in slaughter. She became more and more excited. As long as she was in this place, it wouldn't be long before her cultivation and sword skills would rise to a new level. Hung Tian was still struggling immensely at this time. He kept killing them, but they kept splitting. They appeared before Hung Tian in ever-increasing numbers. The world tree had to intervene again. Her vines pierced straight into their heads, took out the bloodstones, and then gave them to Hung Tian. She told Hung Tian to shatter their heads and take the blood-colored crystal stones inside, and these blood people will not regenerate. In the eyes of the world tree, Blood God Mountain was like a great formation. With Blood God Mountain constantly supplying energy, these blood people would infinitely split and regenerate. They could never be killed. Hung Tian clenched the blood-colored stone in his hand. He said to the world tree, "The blood-colored crystal stone seems to contain violent, malevolent, slaughterous, and deathly energy." His body suddenly caught fire, which surprised even him. Then he understood. These blood-colored crystal stones had activated the Overlord's ghost face, causing the blood and chi in his entire body to surge. Hung Tian crushed the blood-colored stone, feeling the raging blood and chi in his body. This power made him feel extremely comfortable. Two blood people ran over. Hung Tian crushed their heads with his bare hands, simultaneously seizing several blood-colored crystal stones. The power contained within these blood-colored crystal stones seemed to be what the Overlord's ghost face needed. He could feel the Overlord's ghost face being awakened, becoming even more bizarre and powerful. At the gate of Tan Chao Academy, all the instructors of Tan Chao Academy were lined up as if waiting for a very important figure. Instructor Lam, on behalf of everyone, took a step forward, his tone extremely respectful as he spoke to the two people approaching. Tan Chao Academy welcomes the Situ Imperial Mansion and the Hien Vien Imperial Mansion. Ma Situ of the Situ Imperial Mansion gestured to Instructor Lam, telling him not to be so polite, that time was tight, and to get straight to the point. Granny Meng of the Hien Vien Imperial Mansion also agreed with Ma Situ. This time, the two of them had come for the remnant of the Vo Dynasty. Granny Meng continued, "My Hien Vien Imperial Mansion, based on the royal bloodline of the Great Vo Dynasty, has calculated that the remnant is hiding in Blood God Mountain." Fai Ni, with a surprised expression, said to Granny Meng, "A remnant of the Vo Dynasty." Granny Meng lowered her face. She emphasized each word to everyone present. "The iron law of the 10 great dynasties is that remnants must be eliminated." Instructor Lam, with a confused look, wanted to know who the remnant was. Granny Meng shook her head repeatedly. She didn't know who it was either. Back then, the 10 great imperial mansions joined forces to destroy the Great Vo Dynasty. The people of the Great Vo royal family should have all been wiped out. The Hien Vien Imperial Mansion only used a secret art to deduce this fish that slipped through the net and his hiding place. As for who it is still unknown. Ma Situ continued Granny Meng's words. "Besides this matter, I have come for two other things. First, I heard that my useless nephew, Du Quan, was crippled. Is this true?" Fai Ni immediately spoke up in reply. "Uncle Ma Situ, this is indeed true." Then, she recounted everything Hung Tian had done to Du Quan. Ma Situ was also very surprised to see Fai Ni here. He smirked and said to her, "Fai Ni, you are the Tao companion of the young mansion master, Du Hiet." The more he spoke, the darker his expression became. Hung Tian has entered the preparatory class of Thong Tien Academy. He absolutely cannot be allowed to enter Thong Tien Academy alive. He would entrust this important responsibility to Fai Ni, which was also the mission Du Hiet had given her. A new thought appeared in her mind. She had to quickly get the secret from Hung Tian before he lost his life. Next, he stated his second purpose for coming to this place. He suddenly mentioned Fai Ni's younger sister. Tuet Ni's talent is extraordinary. Although she unexpectedly failed to enter the preparatory class of Thong Tien Academy this time, Thong Tien Academy intends to make an exception and recruit her. This is the glory of our Situ Imperial Mansion. This time she will return with me, and I will take her to Thong Tien Academy. He looked around, but couldn't see Tuet Ni anywhere, which made him feel very puzzled. Fai Ni explained to Ma Situ, she has gone into Blood God Mountain to train. She also told Ma Sidu, the murderous aura of Blood God Mountain is harmful to ordinary people, but Tuet Ni can absorb it for cultivation. She wants to use this place to find an opportunity for a breakthrough and to practice her sword intent of slaughter. After Ma Situ heard these words, he suddenly burst out laughing. He laughed and said, "Not bad. Tuet Ni's talent is indeed the strongest among you. Not only does she cultivate as a sword cultivator at a young age, but she can also condense sword intent. Not bad. Even in the ancient dynasties where the way of the sword flourished, such cases were rare. Since Tuet Ni has entered Blood God Mountain, then he will also quickly send troops into Blood God Mountain." After that, their group hurriedly set off for Blood God Mountain to search for Tuet Ni and eliminate the remnant of the Vo dynasty. At the same time, Hung Tien was continuously absorbing the blood-colored stones, and his spiritual power was increasing dramatically. Not only that, but he also broke through to the 8th level of the Kaimai realm. Perhaps it wouldn't be long before he reached the Kaingwen realm. In his mind now, only the images of the adulterous pair, Fai Ni and Du Hiet, appeared. The old grudge, he would definitely find them to settle the score. After Hung Tien had swept through all the blood people here, he also hurried to another place. A moment later, Tuet Ni arrived at the place Hung Tien had just left. She looked around vigilantly, feeling very strange in her heart. She couldn't see the shadow of a single blood person. The more she thought, the more she felt something was wrong. The murderous aura here was much denser than in other places. Had someone killed all the blood people here? Already, she shouted into the air, "Who is it?" But only a silent atmosphere answered her. Tuet Ni continued moving to another place, but she couldn't see a single blood human. She was extremely furious. The blood humans in this area had all vanished without a trace. While Tuet Ni was seething with anger for having her prize snatched away, Hung Tien was leisurely killing blood humans, enhancing his own abilities. With her competitive nature, Tuet Ni could not accept defeat. She frantically gave chase. After a strenuous game of cat and mouse, she finally caught up to Hung Tien. The blood humans slowly dying before her eyes made her even angrier, because she knew well that only one primordial blood human could be reborn in this place each year, and now Hung Tien had snatched them all. How could she tolerate it? At the same time, Hung Tien was continuously collecting bloodstones from the blood humans. He slowly absorbed the bloodstones into his body. In Hung Tien's eyes, the killing aura of this place was all the more absorbed by his spiritual power. The speed of his cultivation could only be described as terrifying, 100 times faster than using high-grade origin stones. His face couldn't hide his excitement. He had opened the 9th meridian, a truly surprising result. Hung Tien sat down next to a blood human. His sad voice was as if he were confiding in himself. The only regret is that these blood humans are limited. Once the blood-colored crystals are taken, they cannot be reborn. Moreover, there are only a few in each place. Wherever he went, they were almost all killed. After sighing a few times, Hung Tien continued on his way to save Chu Cam. A separate courtyard suddenly appeared before his eyes, arousing his curiosity, wondering what that place was. But what he found most suspicious was the atmosphere inside the courtyard before him. The entire Blood God Mountain was empty, without a trace of life. Yet there was a courtyard so full of vitality. He stood there, lost in thought, wondering if Chu Cam was there. Hung Tien immediately took action. He had to quickly run ahead to check the situation. But things were not as smooth as Hung Tien had thought. Just as he lunged forward, a sword tip appeared along with Tuet Ni's shrill voice. "Little thief, where do you think you're running?" Hung Tien nimbly turned, luckily dodging her fatal sword strike. Both Hung Tien and Tuet Ni proactively retreated, increasing the distance from their opponent. Tuet Ni and Hung Tien meeting unexpectedly in this place left both of them extremely surprised. Tuet Ni shouted and pointed straight at Hung Tien's face. In her eyes, Hung Tien was a Situ dog, a despicable and shameless person who had deliberately stolen her blood humans, delaying her cultivation. Hung Tien was bewildered, asking himself when he had ever stolen her blood humans. Although Hung Tien didn't understand what on earth Tuet Ni was talking about, he still patiently answered her, "Though I don't know why you're here, don't you dare falsely accuse me." Hung Tien's words at this moment only made him more of an eyesore to Tuet Ni. No matter what he said, she absolutely would not believe him. He was just a sophist in her eyes. Then, she hastily thrust her sword before Hung Tien, the tip of the sword in her hand aimed straight at him. Hung Tien's expression also began to change. He realized Tuet Ni's strength had improved. Perhaps she was about to reach the heavenly mandate realm. Hung Tien braced himself. Perhaps he would have to borrow the Overlord Ghost Phase to ascend to the Origin Opening Realm to be able to suppress Tuet Ni. As Tuet Ni and her sword lunged forward, Hung Tien lightly leaned to one side, easily avoiding her sword tip. He took this opportunity to quickly use his pressure point technique on Tuet Ni. Tuet Ni stood frozen in one spot. Hung Tien walked up to her, her face turning to a state of confusion, not knowing what Hung Tien intended to do to her. Hung Tien lifted her face, his hands slowly touching her face, his voice full of cunning as he said to her, "Do what?" In this deep mountain valley without a single soul, a lone man and a lone woman. What do you think I want to do? Tuet Ni seethed with anger. She challenged Hung Tien, if you dare do anything to me, I'll fight you to the death. At this moment, an icy aura appeared unbidden, enveloping Tuet Ni's body, pulling her away from Hung Tien. She floated in her own icy aura. Hung Tien hurriedly moved back, increasing the distance with her. Hung Tien squinted as he watched. Tuet Ni was breaking through, and it seemed her realm and sword cultivation were breaking through in parallel. Tuet Ni didn't even need anyone's help to successfully break through. She stood amidst the icy aura, sword in hand, her face resolute as she said, "Peak of the origin, opening realm, break for me. Murderous sword intent. Come forth for me." The smoke billowed, obscuring Tuet Ni from sight. Hung Tien shivered from the cold, coughing continuously. Tuet Ni appeared with a new power, one that even Hung Tien had to be amazed by. Tuet Ni had truly broken through. He had calculated everything, but he never calculated that he would help his enemy break through. Tuet Ni was already formidable, and now she was even more so. She took the initiative to attack Hung Tien, opening with a blood rain sword cage technique. One sword transformed into many, all sharing a single target, all aimed at Hung Tien. Hung Tien's face was beaded with sweat. Would he really be defeated this time? Hung Tien turned and charged forward. Tuet Ni's swords continued to chase him from behind, falling one by one, blocking his escape route. In the end, Hung Tien still couldn't escape. He was trapped in a space of swords. Tuet Ni leisurely walked over, wanting to see how her enemy would escape from her cage. Tuet Ni began to list Hung Tien's crimes. "Pervert, you looked down on me. You hindered my cultivation. Today, I must chop you into 8 pieces." In another place, in the fresh and quiet air, a senior brother and junior sister were standing and chatting. The pink-haired junior sister with a curious face pointed forward. She said to her senior brother Hin, "There are people fighting over there." This girl was none other than Chu Cam. The senior brother Hin she mentioned was also Hao Nin. He reassured Chu Cam, junior sister Cam, "No need to worry. It's probably just some people from the academy who accidentally wandered in." He also told her to wait for him to finish his business here, after which they would leave. A trace of sadness flickered across Chu Cam's face. The image of Hung Tien appeared in her mind. She wondered how Hung Tien was doing now. Chu Cam had always believed that if Hung Tien knew she was here, he would definitely come to find her. It's just that now she had to leave, she couldn't wait any longer. Hao Nin looked at Chu Cam's face, full of worries, and continued to comfort her. "Junior sister Cam, don't worry. Our sect is the supreme heavenly sect, and Junior Sister Cam is a treasure that Master picked up. After we return this time, your future will be limitless. My Zitha performance and Junior Sisters are a perfect match. After Junior Sister returns, you will surely be loved by many fellow brothers." Hao Nin seemed to have feelings for Chu Cam. He looked at Chu Cam with affectionate eyes, always hoping Chu Cam would not disappoint his feelings. Chu Cam's face flushed red. She pretended not to understand Hao Nin's intentions. In her eyes, Hao Nin was a good person. Hao Nin was stunned looking at Chu Cam. In Chu Cam's eyes, he was just a good person. Chu Cam then suddenly changed the subject. She asked Hao Nin, "By the way, what are Master and the inner circle of Blood God Mountain ultimately looking for?" Hao Nin wasn't clear on this matter either. He only knew it was for a relic of some powerful expert. That powerful expert was now a taboo on the entire continent. Even mentioning their name was forbidden. The intelligent Chu Cam quickly realized who the powerful expert Hao Nin was referring to. Hao Nin, in an excited tone, said to Chu Cam, "Master has been searching here for 2 years. We will be leaving this place." Completely contrary to Hao Nin's mood, Chu Cam seemed extremely sad. She recounted to Hao Nin, "That year, I and some other slaves were sold here. If it weren't for Master, I would have died long ago. I now also really want to know what is in this Blood God Mountain that requires living sacrifices, and who is it that is taking living people to sacrifice to them?" According to what Hao Nin knew, there was indeed a terrifying existence in Blood God Mountain, preventing their master from taking that strange object. As for who was sacrificing living people, Hao Nin found it hard to say in a single word. His tone suddenly became tense. Waving his hand to call Chu Cam closer to him, he whispered in Chu Cam's ear, "According to Master's guess, it's very likely the headmaster of Tan Chao Academy. This person has a mysterious background. Master has tried to visit him many times, but he always avoided meeting. Master suspects he might be." Chu Cam nodded repeatedly. So that's how everything was. Returning to Hung Tien and Tuet Ni. Tuet Ni slowly walked closer to Hung Tien. Hung Tien, trapped in the iron cage, gradually became tense. Who would have thought that after Tuet Ni's breakthrough, her strength would increase so much? Tuet Ni's sword tip was in front of Hung Tien's face. She wanted to cut off one of Hung Tien's arms first to vent her anger. Hung Tien couldn't just stand still and wait to die. He activated the Overlord Ghost Face. The swords surrounding him were thrown up, and even Tuet Ni had to respectfully retreat. Hung Tien's mood had completely changed now. absorbing the killing aura of this place. The Overlord ghost face could help him erupt with even greater strength. However, the influence of the evil aura on him was also greater. His mind would be a bit unstable. Hung Tien rushed at Tuet Ni. He brutally grabbed her by the throat. Hung Tien now seemed to have his mind controlled by the mask, his face extremely ferocious. Tuet Ni, struggling to breathe, asked what Hung Tien wanted to do. Hung Tien's face slowly moved closer to Tuet Ni. He deliberately answered Tuet Ni. "You keep provoking me. Today, I must do something." Then he suddenly placed a kiss on Tuet Ni's lips. Tuet Ni was once again forcibly kissed by him. She was shocked and bewildered, using all her strength to push Hung Tien away. She pointed to the bleeding corner of her mouth. Her voice full of bitterness, she asked Hung Tien, "Are you born in the year of the dog? You bit my lip this time too." Tuet Ni picked up her sword again. Today, for new and old debts, she had to settle things with Hung Tien once and for all. She must tear his body to pieces and feed it to the dogs. At this moment, the ground suddenly shook. The distance between Hung Tien and Tuet Ni was split by a fissure. From below the fissure, a Taoist master flew up. Hao Nin and Chu Cam watched from a distance. The moment they saw the Taoist master's figure, they immediately recognized him as their master. The fissure from which the Taoist master flew up did not just contain him, but also a giant hand that wanted to grab him. He flew through the sky, not wanting to let that hand catch him. But in the end, he was still struck down by the hand. To the ground, his body severely injured. Hao Nin and Chu Cam hurriedly ran over to help their master. Tuet Ni was also extremely bewildered seeing the giant thing in front of her, not knowing what it was. Hung Tien was also attracted by this thing. In addition, he could feel that the killing aura of this thing was extremely heavy, making people suffocate. It was also because of the appearance of this thing that the Overlord ghost face on his face returned to its original form. At the same time, Duma's group was also stepping into Blood God Mountain, step by step. Everything was very normal until the sudden earthquake struck. Before their eyes was also the giant hand emitting sparks of electricity. It was also the first time Duma had seen such a thing. Why did an arm burst out from within a mountain? Ma Du and Granny Man turned their heads to look at Taoist Master Lamb, demanding an explanation. Granny Man asked him, "Taoist Master Lamb, Tan Chao Academy has always sealed off Blood God Mountain. What exactly is hidden here?" Taoist Master Lamb shook his head repeatedly. He explained to Granny Man, I don't know about this either. Blood God Mountain is a forbidden area. Only the headmaster is qualified to enter. From what Ma Du knew, Tan Chao Academy brought a group of slaves here every year. He wanted to know the reason why. Taoist Master Lamb admitted that what Ma Du said was true. He also said, the lives of slaves are like weeds. No one cares, so of course, no one investigates this matter. If you want to ask for the reason, you still have to find the headmaster, because this matter is handled by the headmaster alone. Duma became even more curious. He wanted to know who the headmaster of Tan Chao Academy was. In Ma Du's eyes, Tan Chao Academy was in the territory of the Situ imperial family. Although it had declined a bit recently after young Master Situ, Shuel, left, it still maintained its status as a reserve for Thong Tien Academy. He had never met the headmaster. Taoist Master Lamb shook his head once more. He continued to say, "To be honest, the headmaster is usually as elusive as a divine dragon showing its head, but not its tail. Since 30 years ago, when he suddenly took over as headmaster until now, we have only met him a few times." Granny Man couldn't hide her surprise. They haven't met the headmaster in 30 years? She had heard about this matter. That person from Van Tien Pavilion suddenly disappeared, and it seems he came to Tan Chao. She believed this was no coincidence. Duma was even more surprised. He asked Granny Man, "Van Tien Pavilion, are you talking about the person who was a disciple, who was astonishingly talented and brilliant back then, but was arrogant and unruly, and was crippled?" The person Duma was referring to was also the person Granny Man was talking about. Granny Man believed that if the truth was as she knew it, then Blood God Mountain probably held a great secret. Everyone just stood there talking in circles, making Fai Ni extremely anxious. Her younger sister was still cultivating up ahead, surrounded by dangers. Everyone here naturally understood the worry in her heart. Duma pointed forward. They would quickly go over there to check the situation. Chu Cam and Hao Nin flew over. They loudly called out to their master. The person Hung Tien had been longing for finally appeared before him. His eyes lit up when he saw Chu Cam again. He wanted to call out to Chu Cam, but the words were stuck in his throat. Moreover, he was currently wearing the Overlord ghost face mask, afraid that Chu Cam wouldn't recognize him. Chu Cam passed by him like a stranger. She and Hao Nin flew to the Taoist master's side. And he hurriedly helped the Taoist master to his feet, worried about whether he was all right. The Taoist master glanced towards the hand. He said to his two disciples, "I'm fine." Then he pointed towards the giant hand and continued to say, "The box on that hand is what Master wants. You must get it at all costs." At the same time, Duma's group also arrived. They reunited with Tuet Ni. The situation was becoming more and more unstable for Hung Tien. It seemed he couldn't get acquainted with Chu Cam first. Finally looked at the giant arm in front of her. She asked Tuet Ni, "What is this?" Tuet Ni also didn't know what it was. She only knew that this arm suddenly emerged from under the ground. The Taoist master at this time also noticed the presence of strangers at Blood God Mountain. He walked over and asked them, "Who are you?" Taoist Master Lam was haughty. He stroked his beard while introducing himself. "I am Taoist Master Lam of the Tianluo Institute of Tan Chao Academy." Taoist Master Lam put on an air of importance. He pointed at the Taoist master standing in front of him. He asked the Taoist master, "And who are you? What are you doing here?" The old Taoist master waved his hand. He told Taoist Master Lam's group to leave quickly, not to disturb his work. Taoist Master Lam could not accept this attitude from the old Taoist master. He waved his hand, resentfully replying to the old Taoist master, "Insolent, what status do you think you have, daring to tell us to withdraw?" Haonin stepped forward on behalf of his master to introduce the old Taoist master's identity to Taoist Master Lam's group. He had to dazzle them for a day. He took out a command token from his pocket. He declared loudly, "My master is Taoist Tai Not of Qingquan Manor." Taoist Master Lam was extremely bewildered. Who would have thought he would meet such a powerful figure in Blood God Mountain? Du Ma and Granny Man immediately changed their attitude. Both of them walked towards Taoist Tai Not. Granny Man, with a flattering tone, said to Tai Not, "An honored guest from Qingquan Manor. What a coincidence." Du Ma introduced himself on behalf of Granny Man. "I am Situ Mo of the Situ Imperial family." This Granny Man is from the Xianyuan Imperial family. Sita wanted to know the reason why Qingquan Manor came here. Tai Not stroked his beard. If they wanted to know, he would answer. He came here to get an item. He turned around, his finger pointing towards the item placed on the giant hand in front of them. His face suddenly changed color when he saw the figure of a person climbing onto that giant arm. He was furious, his tone no longer calm as he shouted loudly, "Brat, you dare!" Hung Tien heard his voice. He turned his face to look at him, then reassured him he was just curious to have a look. Tai Not's attitude made Hung Tien even more certain that there must be a treasure in that thing. If it wasn't a treasure, Tai Not wouldn't have been so anxious. Hung Tien thought it over and over. He felt that this arm was formed by the condensation of killing aura. If he didn't have the Overlord ghost face, he basically couldn't get within a 3-meter radius. Moreover, this abundant killing aura was absorbed by the Overlord ghost face, transformed into spiritual power in his body, and the speed of his cultivation increase was even faster than killing blood. Humans. Hung Tien just continued to climb up. Haonin, standing below, couldn't continue to watch Hung Tien gradually snatch away the treasure his master wanted to possess. He hurriedly flew over, demanding that Hung Tien come down for him. His words were firm, but Haonin's ability was lacking. He couldn't get close to the arm the way Hung Tien was doing. Du Ma was even less willing to stay out of the game. He pointed towards the arm, suggesting everyone go up together. Their group flew over one by one, but unfortunately, both Du Ma and Granny Man were knocked down by the arm's killing aura. Granny Man reminded Tuet Ni and Phi Ni, "Be careful of the killing aura entering your body and disturbing your mind." Phi Ni was worried about Tuet Ni. She asked her, "Are you okay?" Tuet Ni looked up. She was fine. It was just that the Situ scum in her eyes was using the arm's killing aura to cultivate. Tuet Ni didn't want to let him achieve his goal. Once again, using her true chi, she wanted to compete in strength with Hung Tien one more time. The higher Hung Tien climbed, the denser the killing aura became. Even with the Overlord ghost face, climbing was extremely difficult, causing him to expend more energy. Haonin had to struggle greatly to climb onto the arm, his body trembling nonstop. How could he catch up to Hung Tien like this? The more he looked at Hung Tien, the more he wondered what kind of character Hung Tien was to be so indifferent to the killing aura. According to what he knew, if an ordinary person was invaded by this killing aura, they would have long lost their mind and gone completely insane. Chu Cam stood beside Tai Not. She looked at Haonin's current state. It seemed he was about to be unable to hold on. She suggested to Tai Not that he let her go. Tai Not immediately stopped her, shaking his head repeatedly, then said to Chu Cam, "You must remember, even if I, your master, cannot obtain this treasure, I cannot let you be exposed." It was right for Tai Not to be so worried, because in his eyes, Chu Cam was the person he valued most. Her future could not have any mishaps. He reassured Chu Cam, "Rest assured, although Haonin was severely injured by the blood god, in the end, no matter who gets that box as long as I am here, that person cannot take it away. The object is still mine." The two elders, Du Ma and Granny Man, had to struggle to take each step onto the giant arm. Granny Man, panting heavily, said to Du Ma, "Although our cultivation is high, the higher the cultivation, the more severe the influence of the killing aura. We can't move forward anymore." Du Ma, with a haggard face and drenched in sweat, also agreed with Granny Man's words. If the two of them forced their way forward, they could easily lose their minds and mess things up. Du Ma's mind was now split between two lines of thought. If they stopped now, what if they missed a precious opportunity? Moreover, a powerful expert from Qingquan Manor appeared here. The object on the arm must have a profound purpose. He absolutely could not let them get it easily. Granny Man slammed her staff onto the arm. She also did not want Qingquan Manor to obtain the treasure, because she knew Qingquan Manor already had great great power. If Chinquan Manor were given another chance to increase its strength, the consequences would be hard to avoid. Dumas suddenly mentioned Tuet Ni. He thought that since Tuet Ni cultivated the way of the sword, she was not afraid of the killing aura here. Just let her go up there and get the box. No matter what, he still wanted to know what was inside that box. If it was an ordinary treasure, giving it to Chinquan Manor will be fine. If it was of great importance, this place was the territory of the Situ imperial family. The treasure absolutely could not fall into the hands of others. As soon as they mentioned Tuet Ni appeared before them with her cold, icy mist. He proactively said to Tuet Ni, "You and your sister are already considered half members of the Situ imperial family. You must snatch that box up there, consider it a favor from the Situ imperial family to you." Tuet Ni's face was extremely determined. She would do her best to get that box. Tuet Ni gradually approached the arm. She hadn't climbed high for long before the dense killing aura made it difficult for her to move. Although it was difficult, she could still catch up to Hung Tien. As soon as she saw Hung Tien, she shouted loudly, "Situ scum, that treasure is ours. If you dare to snatch it, it won't just be me who kills you." This shrill voice was so familiar. Hung Tien turned his head to look. He was also quite surprised to see Tuet Ni here. He said to Tuet Ni, "The killing aura here is so strong. Why don't you focus on cultivating first? The cultivation speed here is probably 100,000 times faster than normal. Why bother fighting for treasure? This killing aura is the real treasure." Hearing Hung Tien's words, Tuet Ni felt it made sense. With the current dense killing aura, it would be difficult for her to advance. She sat down and began to cultivate to increase her strength first. It would be a pity to waste such a good opportunity. An hour later, Hao Nin could no longer hold on. He returned to Tai Not's side. Not only that, but he also returned with injuries. Tai Not couldn't blame him. This killing aura, unless one used a special method to absorb and transform it. Otherwise, even he couldn't withstand it for long. But continuing like this was not a solution. They couldn't go up now, and it seemed Tuet Ni and Hung Tien were using the killing aura to cultivate. Tai Not pondered for a moment, then shouted loudly to Xiang Tian and Schwerer, who were high above, "You two little friends up there. This old man is Daoist Tai of Chinquan Mansion. The box in that arm is what I've been looking for. I've spent 2 years in this place for it." He continued to say, "The item inside is of no use to you. You might as well hand it over to me. Once I get it, I will immediately leave this place and return to Chinquan Mansion. At that time, I will order someone to deliver a grand gift to you two." People, Xiang Tian and Schwerer above remained focused on their training, ignoring the sweet words Tai was saying below. On the other hand, when Xiang Tian heard Tai's words, he was even more unwilling to let him have that box. If he took Xiao Qin away, what would he do? Xiang Tian forced himself to stand up. No matter what, he had to get that box and stop Tai from taking Xiao Qin away. Schwerer frowned. She also forced herself to stand up, absolutely not letting Xiang Tian get that box. Xiang Tian was also in a very difficult situation at this time. His body was vomiting blood. This killing aura was too strong. The closer he got to the box, the stronger the killing aura became. Xiao Qin stood below, observing. The figure of the young man above felt a bit familiar to her. Could be Xiang Tian. Her mind became confused, and she kept shaking her head. That young man couldn't be Xiang Tian, because she thought Xiang Tian's cultivation had been crippled, and he was imprisoned in Fengshua City. Although she believed Xiang Tian would rise sooner or later, it was incredibly hard to believe that he could grow so quickly in such a short time, even being able to absorb and cultivate the blood god's killing aura. Schwerer above did her best to oppose Xiang Tian, not wanting to let him get the treasure. Schweck attacked Xiang Tian from behind with her sword. Xiang Tian leaned back, easily dodging her fatal attack. Xiang Tian was already exhausted from the pressure of the killing aura, and now Schwerer was causing trouble. He made an offer to Schwerer. As long as she behaved, he would share half of it with her. Schwerer didn't need those things. The only thing she wanted was Xiang Tian's life. She continued to attack Xiang Tian with her sharp sword. Xiang Tian was extremely annoyed. If not for wanting to hide his identity, he would have already unleashed his spirit beast bloodline. Xiang Tian was truly out of options. He could only borrow the vast spiritual energy of the Overlord Ghost Mask to transform. The tip of Schwerer's sword still rushed towards him. His body erupted in flames, and a surging aura poured out. In an instant, Xiang Tian was suddenly taken to another place. He stood in a pool of blood, with floating skulls above him. A question arose in Xiang Tian's heart. He didn't understand what was happening. Why he had been pulled into the illusionary realm of the sea of blood and mountain of corpses by the Overlord Ghost Mask. Another scene appeared before his eyes. A spirit beast was fighting with a giant. The spirit beast let out a roar, then took the initiative to charge towards the giant and attack. The giant used his bare hands to tear the beast. Before him in two, Xiang Tian witnessed this with great shock, and he wanted to know more about what kind of existence this giant was. This giant also wore a mask like Xiang Tian's, and he suddenly turned his head to look at him. Xiang Tian's body burned hotter and hotter. He was temporarily immobilized. He touched the Overlord Ghost mask on his face, then remembered the Overlord Ghost mask on the giant's face, and thought that perhaps he was the previous owner of the Overlord Ghost mask. He thought again of that giant arm, wondering if that arm and this giant were related. In any way, Xiang Tian continued to break through to the Kaiyuan realm. He pushed open the door in front of him, and behind the door were steps. The so-called Kaiyuan is the official opening of a cultivator's path of cultivation. The body's meridians and spiritual power intake increase greatly from this point. The Chimai realm is merely forging the foundation. The Kaiyuan realm is the true beginning of cultivation. Taoist Master Lin looked up. The scene of Xiang Tian's breakthrough made him extremely curious. He wondered about the origin of the young man breaking through above to be able to successfully break through under such circumstances. After Xiang Tian's breakthrough, it was easier for him to approach the box. He walked while thinking. The origin of this Overlord Ghost mask is too mysterious. If it really belonged to that giant, then it is absolutely a supreme treasure. He had traveled through all the heavens and myriad worlds and had seen many powerful creatures, but he had never encountered one as bizarre and mysterious as the giant. In his mind now, he could only think of his beautiful master. He thought that only she might know the true origin of this giant. After some unnecessary obstacles, Xiang Tian was finally able to get the treasure box. As soon as Tai saw Xiang Tian get the treasure box, he hurriedly said to Xiang Tian, "Little friend, give it to me. Qingquan Mansion will not treat you unfairly." Xiang Tian slowly opened the treasure box. He was eagerly anticipating what treasure was hidden inside. The thing inside truly surprised Xiang Tian, and he didn't know what it was. He picked it up, held it out to observe, and wondered if it was a piece of bone or something else. Tai, standing below, saw Xiang Tian arbitrarily open the treasure box, which made him extremely angry, demanding that Xiang Tian give it to him. Otherwise, don't blame him for being ruthless. The arm started to move again, slowly lowering to the ground. Xiang Tian and Schwetter stood unsteadily on top. The treasure in Xiang Tian's hand lit up. As soon as Granny Meng saw the treasure, she recognized what it was, the Emperor's bone. Tuimo was also extremely horrified after learning what it was. In his mind, he could only think of the remains of that person. If the treasure was that person's remains, then the two of them could not let Xiang Tian or anyone else possess it. Granny Meng ordered Tuimo, "Act now. No matter what, we cannot let Qingquan Mansion get the Emperor's bone." Tai was also extremely anxious and could no longer stand by and wait. He used the 10 great imperial mansions, Qingquan as the sovereign to deal with the situation, determined to get the Emperor's bone. Tai flew over with a powerful aura. The killing aura emanating from within the arm grew denser and denser, easily sending 2MO and Granny Meng flying away.